Hey everyone, this is Michael Cole. I'm VP of Marketing at Everflow, and today I'm joined by Adam. Adam, do you mind giving a quick introduction for yourself?
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Adam Westreich. My company is Westreich Consulting. I've been in the affiliate industry for over a decade now, on pretty much all sides. And currently, my focus is I run a small agency that focuses primarily on B2B affiliate programs.
Awesome, which is great because for today I want to focus on how to launch a new B2B affiliate program. And the goal of this fireside chat is to sort of provide beginner tips to make you successful if you were launching a program for the first time, you don't have anything in place and you want to learn what are the things you definitely should be doing to make it successful. So just before we go too deep into it, do you mind giving a little background on your experience and why you're an expert on this topic?
Yeah, sure. So I mentioned before, I've been doing this for about 10 years, or at least affiliate marketing for 10 years. My experience I've done on the agency side, network side, sub network side, and then additionally brand side. I used to work at Uber for 2.5 years where I managed their affiliate program for North America and APAC, mostly on the driver recruitment and rider programs. About a year and a half ago, I got offered an opportunity to launch Nextdoor's affiliate program, which is trying to get brick and mortar SMBs to buy advertising on Nextdoor. And I took it and kind of was like, oh yeah, B2B, this is an interesting play. It's not e-commerce, which is like 99% of what all affiliate marketing is. And it really just made me have to dive in. I had to learn there's different attribution methods. There are a completely different set of publishers. There's barely any crossover between e-commerce and the B2B publisher space. And I just had to go really deep in it. And now I'm a year and a half in. I've worked with many different brands, all looking after different audience types. Built a really large Rolodex of who these publishers are, a lot of connections. And yeah, so just combining my previous experience of mostly on the e-com side, or at least the gig economy for Uber, which is a little hybrid in between, I'd say. And then, yeah, just a year and a half working with some of the top brands out there on B2B.
Awesome. And when would you recommend that a B2B SaaS type company where they're selling a software product, at what point should they start a affiliate program or at least start considering it?
Yeah, and I also, I don't want to limit this just to SaaS. A lot of my clients are also services, accounting services. There's business insurance. There's a lot of things in the B2B space outside of just software. But primarily, my advice would actually pretty much mimic very similarly to what I would agree for just e-commerce affiliate programs. So a few things to think about. One is, do you already have a growth team, and are you doing things on Google, paid social, and the other marketing channels? Generally, when you look at digital marketing as a whole, every other marketing channel is kind of a little bit similar. It's you have some director of marketing, they have some sort of creative vision, then they make all the different assets for different marketing channels, and then each team lead is now going to platforms, putting in bids to try to optimize conversions. Ultimately, if the campaign's successful or not, the burden is on the brand. They're the ones paying the ad spend up front. Affiliates, the exact opposite of that. You are having these partners creating campaigns for you. And if anything converts poorly or is going wrong, it's really either they put their own marketing spend up front there, or at least the opportunity cost of promoting you versus different brands is on them. And that's just not a bad case. It's not a certain scenario you want to put your affiliates in. You don't want to have them be testing your marketing. Ultimately, you're going to want to have everything be a little more mature. So what I want to see is, do you already have someone testing landing pages? Do you have already someone testing different ad creatives and copy? Like when I come in there, if I ask you, hey, what are the top performing keywords in your SEM strategy? If you don't know the answer to that, then it makes me a little nervous to just test out something. So I would say, first of all, it's that. Making sure that you've already done some sort of performance marketing and you're seeing success with them. Your program's a little mature. Generally, when people ask me for projections, like what can the affiliate channel do, It's always a little bit of a guessing game, but I like to usually use paid social as a reference point. And if I can't even just, if you don't even have that data for me to reference, it makes it a little difficult for me to tell you how successful this program will be. Outside of that, I would just want to make sure all your operations are really tight. So the affiliate channels is not like a learning thing. It's not for brand. So, a lot of B2B programs, the flow, it's not usually it's usually falls into two flows. Either it's a self-serve platform where the user is on your website and from start to finish can close the deal themselves or go to a free trial or something. The other way is usually sales assist. And if you don't have your processes set up, like how many times is the salesperson going to target this lead? Are they hitting it at least like, I mean, if you go off what I see on LinkedIn from all these sales influencers, like if you're not hitting a lead 30 times, then you wasted it. And just making sure all that's really tight and everything before bringing in the affiliate channel, because like I said, you don't want to be putting the risk of the marketing on your publishers. That's just going to put it's just going to be it's too risky, and it'll make your publishers not want to work with you. And ultimately they're kind of an external sales force team. And if they're not seeing success with you, then they'll move on to something else. So I would say it's kind of that. Make sure you at least have tight processes for the sales cycle, but then additionally making sure you've already done a lot of paid marketing and have seen success there and are ready to scale.
Yeah, awesome. I think that is definitely like spot on advice. And the one thing you should always keep in mind. So if I get it right, like to summarize that, basically like affiliate programs should almost always start after you're doing some sort of like paid media, because you need to prove that someone who is not like super into you before they're getting to your website, so it's not your organic traffic where they're searching specifically for you, like they have to be less motivated and still be able to be converted by your website before you should start trying out channels like affiliate programs, because there has to be a strong proof that if they send traffic, it will actually have a chance to convert. Because as you mentioned, like they're the ones taking the risk in the situation. Like the great thing for you is that affiliate marketing is like your most cost-effective channel. The bad thing is that it means that the affiliates, by taking on risk, are going to only give you a single shot or maybe a second shot if you have a really strong relationship. But like they need to see success from their traffic very quickly, or they're not going to keep promoting you. Does that sound right?
The affiliate channel is not a testing ground. It's for it's for a brand that already knows. They know what landing pages work. They know what who their target audience is, and they're now just trying to, now that they've figured that out, they are now adding in this whole new affiliate channel. Going off that too, like one thing I always stress, and I would say this for any affiliate program, not just B2B, is always have a separate landing page for the affiliate channel. And when I say separate, I mean it's just not part of the A/B testing flows that maybe someone internally is doing. You don't want to be A/B testing landers with the affiliate channel, just because if the conversion rate drops based off this new landing you're doing, the affiliate's the one that's suffering. You should always test your landers with the other marketing channels where the brand is the one taking the risk. Once you find something that works, then send that over to the affiliate channel and say like, okay, we got this new lander, it converts 0.5% better. Let's roll that out to affiliate.
Yeah, awesome. That's great advice. And is there specific types of products or offers that work best for affiliate programs? Or does it not really matter as long as like you prove that you can make it work through paid media?
For B2B, so yeah, so there definitely is. So if you look at the business ecosystem in the United States, it's like 99% of businesses, and I'm not like, that's not an exaggeration. It's like literally 99% of businesses fall under either solo entrepreneurs or up to 9 employees. And not surprisingly, the affiliate publisher ecosystem mimics that. If you go to a website like fitsmallbusiness.com, I'm pretty confident that that's going to be the readership is matching that exactly. So what sees the most success? I would say it's going to be brands that offer a service that caters to those audiences and is really broad. So for instance, just just like a few small examples. I don't know, like accounting services, payroll, point of sale, website builders, legal services like LLC building, marketing designs, anything where this product can A, cater to almost any business type, and then B, is really fit for businesses that only, that are pretty small, either solo entrepreneurs, which is like, by the way, like 60% of all small businesses in the United States,
Yeah.
or up to 9 employees. Now, that's being said, that's like the most general overview. I think you'll the easiest chance to scale with those. Now, that being said, if you're a brand that has a very narrow audience, so for instance, like IT directors at companies that have over 500 employees, I'm not saying that the opportunity to scale is a little bit different, but chances are your entire sales pipeline for your entire business is also a lot narrower anyway. So, and there's different ways to go after to bring in sales and conversions for those type of brands. You just have to be a little more targeted, and maybe you're not on fitsmallbusiness.com. Instead, you're on all these like super targeted IT websites instead. So to kind of circle back, I generally think this could work for pretty much any type, but you're going to see a lot more. It's going to be a lot more success if you have a more general product that can cater to a smaller audience.
Yeah, because I mean, most affiliates are going to be broad. So
exactly,
it works no matter what. It's just whether you want to work with lots of affiliates or just a small set that deliver. I mean, one of the great things about a flexible like partner program is the fact that you can basically build a lasting relationship with any company if like they're seeing success and they're making a lot of money. Like the great thing is like it's a very aligned business model at that point. Like if they're a review site for your specific type of product and the people that are coming from that are like really aligned and are buying and paying $5,000 a month or something, like that's a great fit. And you want that website to constantly be refreshing that content and have value out of it.
Exactly. The only areas where I would say like, okay, it's probably not a good fit is if like you need to do a more traditional B2B strategy, like account-based marketing, where it's like you have your target list of 80 decision makers and you are like putting all your marketing efforts to target those 80 people. Affiliate's probably just not the best place for you. I'm not saying that affiliate can't be a subsection of that ABM strategy, but it's probably just too narrow. You probably want to just try something else.
Yeah. One way you can do that though is basically just incentivizing having your partners focusing on just the first stages. So with Everflow, you can do like the CRM integration with like Salesforce or HubSpot. And so in that situation, you can say like, okay, for the initial like demo request, $5. And then if it gets to like, say the prospect stage in HubSpot, then I'm going to pay the partner like $100 at that, because I know at that point, like the chance that I can convert a prospect is maybe like 10%, but the value of that prospect is super high value, but it could take like 8 months. And so you can just make sure that you're not just rewarding like the initial submission, which means you're going to be spending a lot of time fighting fraud, because anyone can send a free trial pretty easy. You want to make sure that free trial is actually becoming something down your customer funnel. And so like tying that to your CRM events is the best way to do that. And just, go ahead.
100%, one of the biggest, if you were to ask like what are the big differences between B2B and e-commerce, I would say one of the biggest things, and what you're talking about with Everflow's capabilities is really important, is the CRM integration and having the CRM being really involved when it comes to attribution. In e-commerce, person goes on a website, looks at a dress, and they buy it. It's like the person clicking the affiliate link is usually the same person purchasing. That is not always the case in B2B. You might have a project manager looking at Monday.com as a tool to manage their program, but ultimately it's the CFO who's paying for it, right? So attribution needs to happen at the company level, not at the individual level. And in order to do that, you need to have a CRM integration where maybe a lead gets caught and that's what the affiliate platform is tracking that. However, ultimately the CRM has to then tell the affiliate platform later on, hey, that company is now changed status from qualified lead to book demo to whatever you're measuring all at the sale. So that's probably the biggest difference outside of the publisher mix is attribution and doing it based off company level.
Yep. And just making sure that your payout is based on like what is reasonable for an external person to be accountable for. Like if they're sending quality traffic and it's going to take 10 months for that to become a customer, you can't have the payout on the customer as like the main payout, because there's just no motivation between like the traffic they send and when they get paid in that situation. Like there has to be a clear alignment of their effort and their reward. So if you have a long cycle for like converting customers, like you want to have the payment pretty early on, but not always in the first step, because that's also unqualified. Like the first like step where you're qualified, like you're saying like this is qualified, I want to receive more of that, that's where you should make sure that you have like a payment to your partners.
Exactly. Usually, from my experience, and I'm more than happy to have any publisher tell me they want something different. If your sales cycle is under 30 days, you can potentially have a cost per sale, cost per final action program. If your sales cycle is over 30 days, then you can't do that. You have to do it based off either a sign up, which, Michael, you were saying is invites fraud. I generally recommend a middle action with like maybe an account executive scheduled a meeting with that person, or they finish that meeting. So some in the middle, that's going to happen within a week or so of the initial lead.
Awesome. Yeah. So when you're evaluating like new clients, like what are you looking for on your side to like say like, okay, like they're set up for success? I mean, and some of the stuff you've covered before of like paid media and stuff, but is there anything else that you're like, you want to like, you're like check mark, oh yeah, I'm going to kill this one. Like when do you get excited? Like this is going to be like a gangbusters program?
Sure. So there's a few things. One is, are they already in a vertical that is seeing a lot of promotion across the B2B sites? One easy way to look at that is if you look at a website like, top10.com, Natural Intelligence, they have a whole business vertical. You can look and see like, here's are kind of like the top 10 they recommend, but also here's everyone they promote. That's a good indication. If you have this really unique product, I'm not saying you can't have success, but it means none of the product comparison websites will even promote you because they have no one to compare you against. So that already kind of, it's kind of unfortunate to be a little too unique in the B2B space or really affiliate space sometimes. Next thing I want to look at is, like we talked before, like what's your success with paid marketing? Have you not just, it's like, sure, you have do you do paid social? Yes. But like, have you gone through many iterations of the campaign? Is it a mature program or not? Next one, or it's probably actually first, to be honest. And I hate to put an emphasis on this, but like, do you already have a large brand name? It's when I was working at Uber, it was most of my emails got responses to when I mentioned Uber and the thing, and you're just gonna have more success on everything. Publishers are gonna want to promote you more. Consumers are more likely to convert at a higher rate. Everything is just going to move a lot faster if you have a bigger brand. The other things I want to look at too is like,
yeah, I want to, before we go into that, I want to just drill into that last point. And like, if you don't have a big brand name, like what do you recommend? So if you don't have a big brand name and you want to compete against the big guys in your space, like what do you recommend what should they be looking at to be competitive?
I mean, one of the easiest, affiliate is really a relationship business. So either hiring someone like internally or an agency that already has connections at these companies is going to be one of the easiest ways to do it. One of the reasons like a lot of my smaller clients really like working with me is I already know everyone in the industry, and if I say, hey, can we get this in the pipeline, they'll be like sure, we can get it going. Two is probably like going really figuring out the differentiators about like what is unique about your product versus the larger competitors and seeing gaps and really making sure the publishers are emphasizing that. Another thing is having just competitive, maybe trying to have more competitive payouts and just be more competitive to get publishers' attention. But yeah, it's really education about your products, competitive payouts, and then working with someone who already is in the know, someone that goes to all the conferences, being ever, knows all the vice presidents at all these big publishers. That's probably going to be the easiest way to get in with these kind of companies.
Yeah, one thing I like to mention there is like keep in mind that in this situation, like if you're working with an agency and they're managing 5 other brands that are working with these same publishers, like their conversation is like, hey, I'm already paying you $30,000. Will you test out this new program? And that's a pretty strong push for them to just spend a little time testing out versus someone who has no relationship there and there's no money flowing already there. It's one of the things that like I'm often very skeptical of agencies for most things, as I think a lot of them don't offer that much value, or at least do not have your best interest in mind. But the great thing about like this space in particular is that like they have the relationships, they can bring it to the table, and like if it's successful, like those relationships will last. Like you're not completely reliant on the agency on that side, but at the same time, like you're relying on all the other expertise for continuing to grow it past where they are right now.
Sure. Yeah, having that relationship, having that in, and being able for an agency to leverage multiple brands on one phone call is a really good way to get it in. It's definitely been a way for me to get a lot of my clients, a lot of placements that they normally couldn't. Going back to what I look for in a company, other things is just there's a few more things. So, we mentioned having successful other marketing channels. 2, I like to see if they can remove as much friction as possible. So the fastest way in is like a self-serve flow, right? Having to bring in outside sales, inside sales teams to then start following up on leads. There's a little bit of, there's going to be a gap between when the user filled out the lead form and when a salesperson starts outreaching, where there's just a lot of drop off. In my opinion, if the company that is filling out the form is a solo entrepreneur or a smaller brand or a smaller company, like ideally you can have some sort of self-serve flow that allows the user to go and purchase right there versus having to have the sales follow up. So if they can have a self-serve flow, it makes me a lot more excited about it. Having a really short sales cycle, if it's otherwise, it makes me really excited about it. Not just because just because it makes it easier, but also because the publishers can start seeing returns really quickly versus a program that might take 30 days to close. Other things is having a really high CPA. One of the big differences between e-commerce and B2B is the amount of money a publisher could potentially make. To give you guys an example, I manage FinancePal.com's affiliate program. They're an accounting services company for SMBs. They have $1,000 CPA. If you bring them a paying customer, it's $1,000 in your pocket. It's really quick. So it's huge, and I think it's going to get a lot more public. I think once the e-commerce publishers start realizing how much the returns can be great. But if you are a B2B brand that has a much smaller payout, it can get harder to get people's attention, and you need to kind of be a little more creative what you can do there. Other things I'd say is the life cycle marketing for the sales team. Like, where are they at? How many touch points are they doing? A lot of the SaaS brands out there, the flow is free trial and then have life cycle marketing or a salesperson just try to follow up with them. So making sure that people are actually doing that. I've unfortunately run some programs where it didn't actually feel like the lifecycle marketing was actually doing any internal sales to the free trial. And the conversion rate from free trial to afterwards becoming a paying customer was just really low. It's likely the person just did the free trial, checked it out for one day, and then never came back. So having that all really tight really works really well. Other thing that I think, is this going to be scalable or not? I don't know if this is talking to scale so much, but it's something I always ask every brand I talk to, and I think it's really important. is, do you have someone internally that can help with writing copy for publishers? And this is really important with the more complicated your product is. Going back to that dress example, like that I talked about earlier, like any fashion publisher can look at a dress on H&M's website and look at the pictures, look at the information, and write a whole article about it. Is it better if they've worn it? Sure, but it is what it is. If you have a really complicated IT solution that is so complicated that the publisher would have no idea how to really talk about this in all its specialties unless they like were an active client for like 3 months, you're going to need to help with the copy. And one of the first things I do when I onboard a new brand is I need a short, like 200-word description of your product. I need a like 8-paragraph description of your product. I need bullet points. I need all this stuff. And if a publisher comes back saying, "Hey, can you submit an article for us?" I want to make sure they have a copywriting team that can really help with that. If your product's not that complicated, then not that bad. But if you have a complicated software product, then yeah, you need someone that's going to really be helping with the copy. And I'm not just talking about like having like a headliner and a little tag below it. It's like, no, like very detailed, especially if you're going on these like product review websites that are going to go deep in the product.
Well, and how does the process actually work in that case? Like, say, okay, you have a new client, they have a copy person, like what, like how is the actual flow of like this affiliate say has like a blog or like comparison page, like what does that like relationship flow look like for that, basically like the copyright on your side to help that publisher with like the final content?
So when I onboard new clients, I ask for three things. That's from the copy standpoint, outside of just standard banner ad suites. But like I'm looking for that short description, that long description, and then bullet points. I like to have pros and cons. It's always fun asking a brand for all their cons, but it's more the disqualifiers. So like, who is someone that normally comes to your website that's totally a no? How do you disqualify them from the get-go? Like maybe you don't happens a lot in SaaS, which is like they don't have a good mobile experience. It's all desktop. So make sure to clarify that up front. So I put that in a resources folder. Different platforms are different. Some actually have resource folders that publishers can go and access. Some of them don't. So instead, you have to kind of just link to like a Google Drive doc where you're posting all these things. I do a lot of referencing to that, a lot of copy and pasting from those materials for publishers that ask. I would say 95% of the time that is usually enough information for the publisher to write something, especially if your long description is very detailed. In terms of individual publisher requests, that's a case-by-case basis. I talk to a publisher, if they are like the perfect match, if they are an SEO publisher that just ranks super well for a lot of keywords, then it's more of a, and they ask for like, hey, can you submit something? Then I'll go to the brand and be asking, hey, this is the publisher, here's the use case. Can I get some unique copy? Here's the touch points they want to go after for their blog, and then get that drafted.
And do you find that like those publishers actually reach out, or is it something that requires prompting first?
Oh, it's for the most part, it's always based around my direct recruitment. So I'm already recruiting them, and either it'll come to them asking, hey, can you provide something? Or B, which is the usual case, is Adam, this sounds really interesting. We'll put it in our queue in the next 2 to 3 months. Then I come back to being like, if we provide content right now, can you post it? And they say yes. So it usually falls into those two funnels.
Yeah, the second one sounds more like what happens. You got to push for a little bit with this stuff, because I mean, as you mentioned at the beginning, like they're the ones taking the time risk here. Like they could be writing about 100 different other things. So anything you can do to make it easier is like very critical.
Yeah, they have a huge queue. They got to get through themselves. So if anything you can do to make it simpler for them, it's gonna help a lot.
Cool. And what are the main things that you start focusing on? Like once you've taken a program, you got like set up to some degree, like what are the things you start focusing on for getting traction of like those first partners sending traffic?
I mean, so the first things I do when I start a program is, first of all, just gathering all those resources, making sure everything's frictionless for the publisher. They have everything they could potentially ever write. Two is lots of testing with the platform, just making sure everything's syncing. Most platforms will talk about how they have a Salesforce integration, and then it turns out it's not as great as you want it to be. I actually don't. I always blame the platform. A lot of times, it's just because Salesforce has so many customized, different custom ways of doing it. Every company sets up their Salesforce a different way. Either
Yep.
it's not just Salesforce, every CRM. So make sure that's all working correctly, because what you hate to have is all these breakage points.
Yep.
And then the last thing I do is just really going hard on publisher recruitment. So usually my strategy around that is figuring out like, who do I already know in the space, and then building out these recruitment pipelines. And then once I start getting some traction, some answers from publishers, and then it starts turning into like, okay, what existing content do you already have? We can work on together. What's new that you can build in the queue? And then once it started going for 30 days or so, it's like, okay, what is working, what's not working? Can we try optimizing some different ways? There's certain keywords you want to start focusing on instead.
Yeah.
One of the basic, it's not, once it gets going, it's not crazy different than the e-commerce affiliate program. It's really more, did you set the platform up correctly from a B2B standpoint? Do you have the resources? And are you talking to the right publishers? Because it's not going to, it's not the Retail Me Nots and even Rectin Rewards are the
Yeah.
publishers. So it could be, but it's those probably aren't the big drivers for you.
So obviously you have relationships with these partners, but just out of curiosity, like how do you actually communicate with them? Like what is the most like common ways you're chatting? Is it just like email? Is it like using Skype? Like what is the main way that you actually speak with them?
It's usually email for initial outreach. For larger publishers, I usually try to schedule a call. I'm a Google Hangouts man. I don't know if one platform is better than the other. Some people prefer Zoom or other ones. Usually for larger publishers, we just try to have an initial call.
Yeah.
To set things up, understand the relationship, where their focuses are. I do my pitch for all my brands. And then usually most follow-up is still through email.
Yeah.
I use CRMs to automate and scale a lot of these operations, but that's pretty much it. You're going to need, for your largest publishers, you're going to need to have ongoing communication, ongoing phone calls. But that's pretty much the other two main ways. Now that vaccinations are happening, the conferences are going to be a lot bigger, a lot more important. I know a lot of people are going to go to SaaStr next week. I won't be there, but I live in the area, so if you want to talk to me, I can come by. I'll be definitely at Affiliate Summit West. I haven't figured out if LeadsCon is a B2B spot yet or not. I'll think about it. But yeah, they'll definitely be starting going to conferences, which is
awesome.
A humongous part for this industry.
Yeah, we'll be hosting some parties at ASW. I'll send over details, and if anyone listening to this wants to be invited, just ping us at marketing@everflow.io. We always like to host stuff for all of these events, so
yeah, I'll look out for my invite.
Cool. Let's see. And so can you give like a sort of like, I asked the communication thing because it's always really helpful to actually like visualize how this actually ends up happening. Can you give sort of a breakdown of like what are the major like types of partners that typically fit into like a B2B program once it started to hit traction?
Sure. So the first thing you got to figure out is who your target audience is. Are you going after general SMBs? Do you have like a special like niche that you're going after? I have some brands I've worked with. They're like, I'm interested in startups. I'm interested in enterprise companies where the enterprise business is like anything with an employee count over like 500. So once you figure it out that, and you start going kind of deep in those areas. But ultimately, if I had to break it down, the biggest players out there are, there's just tons of these B2B editorial sites and newsletters. I've already name dropped a few of them in this call. Those are kind of big you want to get in with. And then additionally, there's all those product comparison websites that you're going to see that exist in every vertical. this is where, and after this point, this is where it kind of starts diverging. That's a little bit different than an e-commerce side versus B2B. So after that, you start going into startup resource websites. So there are, a lot of brands are trying to go after Series A, Series B, and on startups. Where do you go for those? There's like websites like startupgrind.com, and there's a million of these startup sites. Generally, for these guys to include you, you need some sort of offer. So if you don't have an offer, you're not going to have much success getting on them. Then there are all these like really large SaaS platform sites. Some of them don't work on the affiliate model like G2, but some, they could be interesting. And it might be someone like me or an affiliate manager that's probably at least owning that partnership relationship. Brand to brand. So there is a lot of brand to brand stuff out there. If you go to LegalZoom's website, you'll see that they have a marketplace of sites they offer. A lot of the business insurance carriers have newsletters where they will market other brands. There's platforms like Rocked that can, potentially advertise you on a bunch of different brand websites. There's emailers similar to e-commerce side. They're a lot harder to find. There's not people that have a lot of huge email lists, but they exist. And once you start going deep, you might be able to start finding them. But if you're using an emailer for your e-commerce side, they might not know who to talk to on the B2B side. Direct mail, that's another strategy. You can use. There's a lot of partners out there that have a lot of information about businesses. They have all the different like business codes. You can do that. And then there's my favorite B2B affiliate strategy, which is boots on the ground. So there are publishers out there that can command large sales forces and can do door knocking and actually go in there. I think that's probably the most general over ones. There's also like the traditional B2B platforms that have yet to adopt B2B affiliate yet, but talk to me in a year, they probably will. That's like the account-based marketing strategies, content syndication, all these industry webinar players. A lot of these guys are still asking for like 20 grand, 30 grand up front. But I'm already starting to see some of them adopting an affiliate model for at least certain parts of their website. And I just foresee that happening more and more. And other than that, it's like then you need to start going really deep into your vertical. If you're selling to real estate agents, you got to go on the real estate agent websites. If you're selling to IT people, you got to go to the IT websites. So it's going really deep kind of in those areas.
Yeah, I would say one other one to keep in mind for especially like B2B stuff is just like if you should always be leveraging your referral partners. So obviously the agency, sometimes the company isn't comfortable having this under your purview, but especially if you're managing this in-house or like the company doesn't have a way to track this right now, like you want to get those referral partners like set up, you want them tracking, and you want to make sure that they're getting rewarded. I always say, like, when you're thinking about like why you need a partner platform in the first place, like the number one reason is just like basic transparency. Anyone who's promoting you, as we mentioned before, like that's taking up their time and they're risking like things they could be doing other stuff. There's always an opportunity cost. So like they need to be able to see that if they're doing something to promote you, that they're actually like getting some performance out of it, that like they can see the traffic, etc. So getting those referral partners into their own little dashboards where they can see how much traffic they sent and how much customers they sent, like these things really motivate people to get excited about sending more customers your way.
Definitely. And your accounting team will really appreciate the payment rails that these platforms offer.
Yeah, definitely.
They don't love doing $50 checks and all these little things. They'd rather have a platform handle it all for them.
Cool. And then the other thing I want to mention too is that like a couple of those that you mentioned are really interesting because they're offline channels. And we have like a client on our side who's really cool, who does like e-bikes, and they actually like partner. I mean, this is an e-commerce case, but they partner with a ton of dealerships. And inside those dealerships, there's actually posters on the wall promoting their e-bikes with a QR code. And one of the cool features in Everflow is that you can create any number of unique QR code tracking links. And this is something that we've had forever and no one used until like a year ago, when everyone suddenly with COVID was forced to learn how QR codes work. But it's really awesome. Like they generate a ton of sales through offline dealerships because people will be there shopping, they'll see the e-bike, they'll scan it, and then they'll buy the e-bike online. And so I think there's a ton of stuff you can do in offline, and it's a very untapped space. Like there's so much real estate, there's so many places to promote you, and there's so many like companies that are probably aligned with what you're selling that could easily be promoting you as well. And having a poster and a QR code and stuff, like that's not a big ask for them.
Totally. My favorite placement I've ever done in my entire career is I got a tracked promo code in a physical book once for a client. So it's enough. If someone used that promo code on that brand's website, it would pay the publisher. So
that's awesome. I'm sure that the
right.
conversion rate would be sky high for anyone who got to that point. you got to do a couple steps.
I mean, there's no clicks, right? So
yeah.
it's just a try. So the conversion rate is infinite, right? But yeah, it's pretty funny when I always think about it.
That is awesome. Cool. And how do you like, what is your process for actually going into like recruiting partners? Like obviously like you have all the ones that are your own relationships, but if you're like, okay, I'm promoting a very niche client that's doing awesome, like they're a cool brand in this niche space, and I've never spoken with this publisher before, like what would be your approach there?
Totally. So I usually fall into like a bunch of processes. So one is competitor analysis. So who are all your competitors in the space and who's sending traffic to them? There's a lot of players like SimilarWeb, for instance, that could help you with that. Next one would be keyword researching. So I usually ask a brand, what are your top non-branded SEM keywords, especially any long tail ones you can offer me that are converting well for you, and then I find all the websites that are converting, that are ranking well for those keywords. If you want a free version of that, you can just set something up in like Google Alerts, and you'll get a daily email with every website that ranks. If you want a more automated process, you could probably do something through like different CRMs, and I actually utilize a lot of different tools. Other than that, lots of networking, talking to other players in the space. The B2B affiliate space is really small, and I have a lot of conversations with other people in the space, and we share publishers just because it's so small right now that everyone wants to help out each other. Going to conferences, and then obviously my own at this point that I'm almost 2 years in on straight B2B, I have a pretty large Rolodex of partners. So I usually have like when I set up a new company, I usually put it all set up in a Google sheet, and I'm like, all right, how do I get all those partners set up?
And if it were say like a niche website you hadn't spoken with, would your approach normally be to email them first and just be like, here's an opportunity? Like how do you broker that relationship in that situation?
It's always going to be email outreach
Yeah.
for a new one. So let's say I've been doing keyword researching and I find all these publishers, then I would just try to figure out who the decision maker is. It's on their website. You can use LinkedIn. There's other kind of just methods you could use to try to figure out something, and then just do an email outreach, usually either on behalf of my client or on behalf of multiple clients at once, and just start a conversation.
Cool. And like once you get someone into your program, like a lot of people will be like, okay, I'll join your program, and then just never get around to actually testing it out. Do you have any recommendations for getting people to actually get their first test live, like start sending live traffic?
Yeah, part of it's acting quick. So making sure that when you initially get them to join the program, you're quickly on, while you're still top of mind, getting on top of them. For that, I usually recommend using as much automation as possible. So having automated triggers, usually based off a CRM or something, to say like, welcome to the program. You might have something else set up for like 15 days, no activity, 30 days, no activity. You might even have something set up for like, they've done a bunch of clicks, but no sales. You can come up with a million ways for what starts to trigger. The other thing that, it's kind of similar to sales. It's just lots and lots and lots of follow-up. So I'm usually on top of most of my publishers, sending them weekly emails, making sure and building out kind of a scheduling with them just to get until they start promoting.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to mention for people that have never managed a program before. Like, at least for me, like normally when I was managing a program, like of all the affiliates in the program, only 5 to 10% would ever drive a single sell. So having, I mean, this is something you can do in Everflow. You can set like rules-based like messaging. So having something like, hey, you sent your first conversion, like here's a bunch of extra details and like a special offer for you is like things and stuff. Be like, it is rare enough when someone like sends traffic and actually drives a single sell that isn't like your existing top affiliates. Like you really want to get those motivated to do more. And also like for anyone you recruit that's really relevant, just keeping on them to get it live, because once they start seeing money flowing, they're going to continue, but it's really just getting them to that point.
Totally. I mean, there's no difference between this in B2B and e-commerce, but
Yeah.
it's that whole 80-20 rule where like 80% of your revenue is going from 20% of the publishers. 5%, click active, in my opinion, is probably pretty low. I'm generally, I like to try to keep between 20 to 30% click active. But it does take a lot of work, a lot of ongoing management. So if you're a one-person team, it can get, you got a lot going for you. Not to mention like in my career, there's been situations where like even I joined like 20-year-old businesses that had really mature publisher programs. It's just by me starting conversations up with their 30th ranked publisher was I able to turn it to their number one publisher over like a 6-month period. So building those relationships is huge.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to mention too, is like the 30th best performing partner in your system, like they at least know it works, but maybe they've just never like sat down and said, what else can I do here to improve it? Like it's really easy to set it up, see some success, and then just move on to the next thing. And so like that's where like the relationships especially matter, because like you're basically saying like, what else can we do? And like there's a lot of times like they could do more. It's just they've never stopped to think like, what else could I be doing?
Oh, totally. You got to stay on top of these people. I mean, especially when like a lot of the like editorial based publishers will get back to you and be like, yeah, we don't have anything in our queue right now, but when something does come up, I'll be sure to tell you. It's like, I'm sure they're saying that to like 500 brands. So it's like, you need to stay on top of them to make sure like, hey, we have this new promo. Hey, we have this new focus. Hey, we have this new thing, and making sure that you're really staying on top of it. There's a lot of tools you can use. Like it sounds like Everflow has a lot of them for automation, but end of the day, it's still like you doing a lot of manual work, getting on top of publishers.
Yeah. I mean, that's always going to be challenging any things. It's like both on your side and the like partner side, like you're always fighting inertia. Like it's just that like, but like the good thing is everyone else is also like fighting inertia of like, just like it's easier not to do anything, which means that if you do a little bit more than your competitor, like a lot of times like you can win the majority of like your partner's attention, because it does take work. No matter how much you automate all this stuff, like it still requires that like personal touch. And like that's why it's good to just like be the one who's willing to do a little extra on the partners that have already proven that they can drive sales for you.
Exactly. And one thing that I always, I should have mentioned this back when I'm approaching brands to work with, is just the expectations for how long this takes.
Yeah.
Affiliate's going to be your slowest growing channel. I usually compare it most to SEO, where it's you're doing lots and lots of work for really long-term results, but it's also your most cost-effective channel. So when you're talking to brands and like need to have the expectation, like it might take 6 months really so you have an idea of if this program really has any legs. That might be like it took that long to get a publisher to write. It took 3 months between talking with a publisher and getting them to launch. It took another 3 months for them to do 1 or 2 other like reiterations of the content of them promoting you. This is a long play. And 6 months is usually where you start having a general idea of like, does this channel have legs? And then it might take years to mature the program and get to a pretty scalable one. But end of the day, it might start matching what you're seeing on paid social at 1/4 the acquisition cost. And And when Facebook has their next controversy and your brand has to shut down all advertising, you have this really diverse affiliate program with 100 publishers. So that's kind of the strategy you have to have come in play too. Is I think the expectation and how long this does take to get things going.
Yeah, I think that's a really excellent point. And like, it also is like, what can you do to get results faster is something to think about. I mean, there's a reason why in e-commerce affiliate programs like coupon sites are so common, because coupon sites can set up any number of brands and get them live right away, and you'll start seeing sales. So it's the fastest way to get results in e-commerce. Similarly, I'd say that for like B2B affiliate programs, like the way you can get results fastest, because this is going to be the slow burn of like these really important long lasting partnerships, is just like, if you can get your company to let you handle the referral partnerships, like those are the ones that are going to be coming in every month from day one. They already have relationships. So I see a question from the chat. Yes, we will be, this webinar is recorded and it'll be available in a couple of weeks after we do some polishing edits on it.
Yeah, Michael's got to lighten up my background. So I'm just floating in this dark area.
Oh, I won't do anything, but I'll give the designer notes to fix it. Great. So I think this has all been really awesome and super helpful. Just to wrap it up, like, do you have any like thoughts about where the future of partner marketing is going in the next couple of years, especially for like B2B type companies?
Yeah, I mean, there is such an insane amount of investment right now in affiliate. It seems like if you go on LinkedIn and look at job postings, it seems like every brand right now is trying to get affiliate managers on it. And there's never been a time better to be an affiliate or partner manager. Additionally, companies are doing a huge amount of investments. There's tons of acquisitions, a lot of venture capital getting into here. So it's pretty impressive what we're seeing, especially as all the other marketing channels are seeing all of their advertising rates going up and up and up, and brands need to start finding other ways to do it. In terms of B2B, it's, I think it's still in the early stages. Obviously, like there's some brands out there that have had 10-year-old programs. But, as more people are starting their own businesses, it's like the years of entrepreneur, there's gonna be more new businesses to advertise to. As SaaS becomes bigger and bigger, like there's just gonna be more brands interested in joining these affiliate channels. There's more networks geared towards B2B. There's more publishers geared towards B2B. And I think it's just going to be a really big growth area. In terms of publishers, like if you are an e-commerce publisher and you've never really thought about B2B, like the CPAs can be so much higher or so much more ongoing. I always think about this. I was talking to this one brand and they're telling me that they had a publisher that did like $30 in Google search and it made a sale, and that brand was paying a percentage of sale ongoing for the length of the customer. So for like $30 in ad spend, they were getting commissions for like 3 years. And since it was SaaS, it scaled with the amount of seats that company was using. And now, they're making $20 a month. Now they're making, $3,000 a month from something they did, years ago. It's wild. It's wild what's happening in the B2B space. And I think what I'd really like to see more is people making websites that are geared towards that enterprise sale. How do you start going after the big Inc. 500, Inc. 1,000 companies and dealing with those decision makers? And I think that's going to be huge, especially when the SaaS deal might be, a $200,000 deal. Like that's a nice commission.
And it's a great point. And like in terms of content, like we were mentioning before, like why is there not more SaaSters for like different like complicated business topics? Like those would all be amazing affiliates for sending like high quality customers that are worth like $30,000. Like there's a lot of opportunity there of like the next wave of content, because it is lacking. And like right now, like podcasts tend to be like the best place to find this stuff in terms of like these more advanced topics. And like these worlds are all merging together. It's like now that it's possible to track all of them, like there's going to be so much more opportunities of taking it to the next level.
For sure. I foresee in the next couple of years seeing a lot more people getting more advanced in that area and trying to find that way. Like, hey, it's like, oh, you're trying to get into SVPs in IT or something. Like that's like we're gonna now have editorial pieces to target those people. And it's gonna be like 50-page editorial articles that go super deep and all these things. And it's gonna be wild.
Awesome. Sounds great. Thank you so much for your time. Like, this was really awesome. You like gave such a great primer of like a lot of the like the real world things you need to know for programs that are really hard to find. And I'm sure that a lot of people will benefit and appreciate that. So thank you again.
Yeah, of course, of course. I'm always happy to talk about the affiliate space, but also just B2B. Additionally, if anyone ever wants to chat with me, you can always reach out via LinkedIn or something, and I'm more than happy to just answer a few questions or for a few publishers or anything like that. Anything I can do to help.
And if someone was interested in working with you, is LinkedIn the best method?
Yeah, I would say LinkedIn's probably the best way to start a connection with me, and then we can just go from there. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful week, and hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks, you too. And thanks so much for inviting me. All right.
Bye.